Hello, in this lesson we are going to learn how to create a request for quotation or QF. A request for quotation is a request to a vendor or a number of vendors for a quotation to supply material or service. So let's get started by navigating the SAP menu path and go first to logistics. Then go to materials management. Click on purchasing. Click on RFQ/quotation. Then go and click on request for quotation. For this lesson, we are going to use transaction ME41 create. So let's go ahead and double click. The initial screen create RFQ is displayed. RFQ type, click on the search icon, choose the second one, AN for RFQ, and click continue to confirm. The date for the RFQ, select today's date. The quotation deadline is the date by which the suppliers need to reply to the RFQ with their quotation. Let's put date as 2 weeks from now. Organizational data. The purchasing organization and purchasing group should be entered for the RFQ. So let's choose this as 3000 and put 00 for purchasing group. Default data for items. The user can enter information that is related to items that are to be incorporated in the RFQ, and the fields that can be defaulted include item category, delivery date, plant number, storage location number, material group, and requirement tracking number. Item category. The following can be used in the category field. You have standard for blank, L for subcontracting, S for third party, and D for service. So let's click on the first one, which is blank, and click to confirm. The delivery date, when you want the item or the material to be delivered, we select, let's say, 14/6/2003. This is just the format for the date. The plant number, put it as 3000 plant number. Storage location, put it as 00, or just select from the group. Storage location is 0001. The material group, if the material number or service number are not identified or not known, then we use the material group instead of the material number. The requirement tracking number stands for RTN. Basically, this number can be used to identify certain purchase orders. For example, if a purchasing user is entering a number of purchase orders for a particular project, then it might be an ideal thing to enter a unique RTN so that the purchase order can be identified as a group together instead of having to identify each individual PO number. So let's go ahead now and confirm our entries. Click on the continue icon. Notice that the information entered in the initial screen are defaulted through. And further, we can also add other data here as well. Organizations that send out RFQs for collective bid can use the collective number, which is right here, this field. For example, if a customer is creating a new project, so there may be tens of new material that needs to use as well as new services. So in order for that user to collectively identify the many RFQs, the client may use a collective number to ensure that the individual RFQs are tied to this single project. So the collective number can be used for search purposes, and it is easier to find RFQs that have a collective number than individually. So I'm gonna enter here a collective number as NK007-0001. Press the tab key now. Validity start and the validity end field are defined as the dates between which the material should be delivered or the service should be carried out. So let's put the material delivered as 7 June and validity end put as 9th of August. Binding period is the validity of the code that was requested by the client. Usually the vendor has to specify the validity of the code or the service, and it's usually 30 days. Reference date, the reference date or the reference data, sorry. The reference data can be added to the RFQ header, and it relates to the client reference and its contact information. So let's go ahead and press now the enter key to open the line item details. Line item details include the item category, the material number, description, short text usually, request for quotation quantity, required quantity, delivery date that's been defaulted, and material group. So let's go ahead first and add the material item or number. Go and click on the search icon here. In the material description, let's put bearing and press the enter key. Let's go ahead and select the first one, 100-510, and double click on that. For the quantity, we're going to put 2 and then press the enter key. Ball bearing, quantity 2, material group 001. If the client asks the vendor that the vendor delivered the material in partial shipment, certain sequence on certain date, then this requirement can be entered in the delivery schedule screen. The user can enter the date and the quantity required on that date. In this case, we have 2 items, and you want these 2 items to be delivered in separate dates. Simply have to go and select the item first, and then go to item here, click on delivery schedule. For now, we're just gonna go back and click on the back icon. We are going now to start selecting vendors for this request for quotation. Vendor selection, the vendor can be selected by using the menu selection header right here, vendor address, or by using the function key F7. So the vendor address screen allows the purchasing user to select a vendor for the RFQ. So let's go ahead and select the vendor address. After the vendor is entered, you can save the RFQ. If the RFQ is to be sent out to more than one vendor, more vendor numbers can be entered, and saving after each addition creates a number of RFQ. So every time we add a new vendor, SAP will create a number of RFQ documents for the same item details. So let's go ahead and click on the select or search icon and make sure that purchasing organization number is 3000, and click to confirm to see the whole list. under this porg, I will just sort the list and select this guy here, save. It gives me RFQ created under the number 600001116. Let me add another vendor, confirm again, sort, and select this one, save again. So we have another vendor being added to this request for quotation. Notice the RFQ numbers being created is 1117 and the previous one 1116. After you have completed adding all the required vendors for this RFQ, you could go ahead and save your work first and then exit the screen. Before I go ahead and conclude this lesson, I would like again to go back and mention one more time the collective number. As I mentioned earlier, organizations that send out RFQs for a collective bid can use the collective number. Again, for example, if a customer is creating a new project, there may be tens or hundreds of new material that needs to use as well as new services. So, to collectively identify the many RFQs, the client may use a collective number to ensure that all individual RFQs are tied to that single project. So the collective number can be used for search purposes, and that's what we're going to do right now. So it is easier to find RFQs that have a collective number than just going and searching for each one individually. So what I'm going to do here, I follow the same exact path up to here, and then I click on the list displays, and I have transaction ME4S by collective number. So let's go ahead and double click on that. The collective number that I have entered in the header of the RFQ is NK007 0001. Let's go ahead and execute criteria. We have here the list of all RFQs that related or tied to this collective number. So it's much easier, as I said, for search purposes to enter a collective number that tie to all these RFQs. So if you have 100 RFQ and just have one collective number, it will list all RFQs related to that particular project. Let's go back, exit. Let's go ahead and click on the back icon again. You have just learned how to create a request for quotation RFQ using transaction ME4U1. Let's go ahead now and review the quiz questions to find out how much you have learned from this lesson. And if you get to a problem or you get stuck on some of the questions, go back and review the material one more time. Good luck.